Hey everybody, so you guys probably have seen my Sage 1 box opening, and I've carried this knife at work all through the weekend, Friday through Sunday, and yeah, the Sage 2 performs just like expected, and I'm extremely stumped on what knife I actually like better between the two. There's just, obviously it's the same blade shape, so it performs just as well. The only preference that it comes down to is what you like better, titanium frame lock handle scales, or, if you want the Walker liner lock. So just like the Sage 2, I'm just going to go ahead and go over some information. This one in particular, the Sage 1 in the Sage series, is the Michael Walker liner lock. So that's what you see there. It is the liner lock. Michael Walker is the inventor of the liner lock and the ball D10. The ball D10 is what really made the liner lock famous, coming from him, because liner locks have been used in the past, but they still used a back spring in order to keep the knife retained in the handle, where this one, um, don't know. I really doubt my camera's going to be able to pick it up. Okay, yeah, you're not going to be able to see. Anyways, on the actual liner itself, on the inside of the liner that faces the blade itself, there's a little ball on that liner. And when the blade closes, you can't see because it's covered by the scale here. There's a little indentation on the actual blade itself that ball rests in when it's closed, therefore keeping it kind of snug in there and not able to pull out, extremely easy without the force of, your thumb or whatever. So Michael Walker is the one that made that famous, and he was also the reason why they used carbon fiber scales on here is when he first collaborated with Spyderco in the 90s. His first productions were with carbon fiber handle scales, and of course with his infamous lock that you see on hundreds of thousands of knives nowadays. So, anyways, that is the history behind it, and that is the reason why they chose carbon fiber scales, and that is the reason why they call it the Walker, the Sage. They actually have it quoted here, Sage Walker liner lock. That's the Sage one. So, anyways, this knife has the exact same specs as the titanium version. The only difference I would say as far as the specs would be the weight. Um, Looking at various websites and stuff, unfortunately Spyderco does not include the specs of these knives as far as lengths and grinds and all the ins and outs. But this knife feels a tad bit lighter than the Sage 2 Titanium. And I mean, you would assume that it would be lighter just because of the fact that this is solid titanium metal versus, the lightweight carbon fiber. But with the stainless steel liners and all, it evens out to be the same exact width with the scales and the liners. But this one is a tad bit lighter, and it is somewhat noticeable. Um, Wow, I mean, like, this knife is just really, really nice. I was very surprised at the carbon fiber on this. The only other Spyderco knife that I own with carbon fiber are my Kiwis, and those are extremely sanded down and polished, so they're extremely smooth. There's no actual like grip or texture to it. It's just really flush. Maybe just a little bit of drag rubbing your fingers over from the smoothness, but these ones you can actually feel those ripples and bumps of a carbon fiber. So it's actually really nice. It works for some good grip and purchase when you're holding it in the hand, and especially, of course, when you're doing up tight with these choils. I love the choils on these Sage series. That's really big positive on this knife, I think. Just as the Sage 2, it's got the pillar construction. There's only 3 Torx screws holding this entire knife together, which you can take apart. This pocket clip has that anodized black finish to it, which is very nice. Digging it. Kind of keeps it a little bit more discreet almost. Of course, tip is tip up only, and it's reversible. from left and right hand carry. Once again, you got that nice flush here all the way around the knife. Fit and finish is just perfect on it. As you can see, blade is centered perfectly. There's there's no blade play on this knife, side to side whatsoever, up and down, just zero. CPMS 30V steel, full flat grind. Some of you may bother you that it's made in Taiwan, but honestly, this is a Golden Earth quality knife, and just happens to be made overseas. So there's a couple of comments and messages that I've received just talking about how, this knife is awesome, looks awesome, but I can't stand that it's not made in the U.S. But the only reason I'd want a knife, especially of the quality of this one, you can see there, perfect lineup with the backstop. It's just, it'd be nice to keep our U.S. dollar in the United States. But, other than that, I have no problem buying knives if they're as nice as, the Sage series is presented. Also, stainless steel liners, all skeletonized. There's tons of drilled out holes in here. I mean, they layered this thing with holes. So, I mean, that just takes off a ton of weight. They didn't waste any time or space on the inside of this knife on drilling. These things are just drilled to hell. One thing I did not mention in the Sage 2 when I first reviewed it looking for cons, one other thing that I think maybe people wouldn't like, I myself, I have not used lanyards at all for carrying my knives. I've thought about, it'd be cool to try it out. I haven't yet, but with the Sage series, that's not a capability, at least not yet. I don't know if they're ever going to do that with this series, but as you can see on that handle, there is no lanyard hole anywhere on this knife, and yeah, that Spyder is also laser engraved, and I can be able to pick up my camera with those nice circular patterns inside of it. This thing's just razor sharp. Between the two knives, I mean, I just really, I can't honestly really choose between the two. I love the Sage 2. I love the handle feel. I love just knowing how solid it is, and that it's just, it's a tank. This thing is not gonna, break or whatnot. You can see there that liner lock very early, by the way, which is very nice. And then you have the tank of a handle sticking in there versus the very thin liner. Regardless of these being thin, Spyderco does an awesome job with their liner lock, and I've never heard anything about them ever failing, and I really don't think they ever could unless you're abusing your knife. So if you buy a Spyderco knife with a liner lock, you're not gonna you're not gonna abuse it, then that liner lock should never fail you. Like I said, I've never heard anything of it on the forums ever happening. Sal Glesser does test these liner locks. I'm not positive about this one in particular, but the liner lock that they're having on a new upcoming model is supposedly just as strong, if not stronger, than the Sabenza frame lock. So that's just to give you an example of how much time and effort and research that Sal Glesser does, president of Spyderco, on his materials before he produces them. If you got a thin piece of metal like that, and Sal's telling you that it's stronger than a Sabenza frame lock, don't be scared to pick one of his knives up with a liner lock. He's not one to false advertise. So, anyways, I guess this video is more of just some opinions and views that I have on some other issues. But like I said, it is essentially the same exact knife as the Sage 2, just with the Michael Walker liner lock carbon fiber scales that actually do have grip, and that black anodized clip, and just extremely, gutted liners. Look how many holes this knife has in there. That is a ton. And there is a slight noticeable difference in weight. But overall, just an amazing knife. Both of these. I highly recommend, if you have the budget, or maybe save up $1 a week if you have to, um, get both of these knives. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys.